welcome to Vanished Voices. We're your hosts. I'm Jenna.
And I'm Shannon.
The day before Thanksgiving is one of those days that feels the same everywhere.
Right?
People checking their phones for weather. You're getting last minute groceries.
We don't do that. We don't check for weather.
No, not in Arizona. But if you're traveling.
Last minute groceries though, yes.
Yes. You're making plans, confirming rides. On November 25th, 2020, Mary Ellen Johnson Davis was doing exactly that. She was walking down a road she knew well. On land her people had called home for centuries. She was headed towards a church where someone had agreed to pick her up. She sent a text at 1:52 p.m. that said she was almost there. And then she was gone. No argument, no scene, no dramatic last known location with witnesses. Just a woman, a road, and a text that was never followed up. For the next 5 years, her sister would fight loudly, publicly, relentlessly to make sure the world knew her name. And not because she was a case number, not because she fit a narrative, but because she had 16 nieces and nephews who missed their aunt. Because Mary could do a pitch-perfect impression of Scrap from Ice Age, because she knew where the best blackberries grew. Her name was Mary, and this is her story.
So Scrat is my favorite.
Mine too.
But, okay, a text that was never followed up. Does that mean whoever she texted never, like who she was expecting to meet, never responded to her? Or
it means that whoever she was planning to meet got to where they were supposed to meet.
And she never showed up.
And it seems like she never showed up.
Okay.
Let's talk a little bit about Mary and also where she came from. We haven't covered any case on this reservation yet. It's the Tulalip Reservation. Oh, and I have pictures, and we will link those in our show notes. The first one, you can see Tulalip down by Marysville at the bottom. And then the city that we're going to be talking about is Oso. So you can kind of see the path to that. And then the second picture shows the reservation outline.
What's the distance?
Seattle is just right below it.
Okay.
And those two, so the reservation and the city that we're going to talk about, are about 30 miles.
Okay.
Seattle is just right below it.
Okay.
The Tulalip Reservation sits along the shores of the Puget Sound in western Washington state. It's north of Seattle, about 22,000 acres of land. It's west of Marysville, bordered by water and forest, and it's the kind of Pacific Northwest area that's quiet, kind of settles into your soul, into your bones. The Tulalip tribes are a federally recognized sovereign nation, descended from the Snohomish, Snoqualmie, Skykomish, and other allied Coast Salish people who had lived, fished, and built community in that region for thousands of years before anyone ever drew a line on a map and then called it a reservation. That line drawn on a map came in 1855 with the Treaty of Point Elliott. Tribal leaders signed away millions of acres of ancestral territory. It was land stretching from the Cascades to Puget Sound, from the Canadian border south towards Tacoma. And in exchange, they were promised protection, reserved fishing rights, and a permanent homeland. What they got was a fraction of what they ceded. A government boarding school that ran from 1900 to 1932, and decades of policies designed to dismantle exactly the kind of family and cultural structure that makes a community whole. That history matters here. It's not background noise. It is the ground everything else stands on. Now, Mary Ellen Johnson Davis was born on August 31st, 1981 in Washington state. She was one of 4 sisters. We have Sarah, Nona, Jerry, and Mary. And by all accounts, she was the person who filled a room without even trying. Her nieces and nephews absolutely adored her. She was the aunt who showed up. She read to them. She always made them laugh. She had this warmth, the way that maybe some people carry tension. She's naturally a warm person as her default setting. Mary's life, though, was not easy and it was not protected. the story of how she grew up is inseparable from the story of what happened. So when the Davis girls were young, the state of Washington removed them from their birth parents due to substance abuse concerns. The four sisters were separated and placed with different foster families. For Mary and also her sister Nona, the placement created this lasting harm. Both women later alleged that they were sexually abused by their non-native foster family, abuse that went unaddressed, unreported, unaccounted for, in the way that abuse against Native children so often does. Now, years later, Mary and Nona sued the state of Washington and also CPS, or Child Protective Services, for what had been done to them. And they won.
Nice.
Yeah. Each sister received, and a lot of the reporting from 2020, 2021 says 300,000. The most recent reporting says 400,000.
Okay. I mean, either way, they got settlement.
They
which
got
is,
settlement.
I would say kind of an anomaly.
Agreed. Absolutely. And it was compensation for this childhood that had been taken away from them. And it was, in its own incomplete form, this kind of acknowledgement about what had happened. The system had failed them, and the state said so in writing. But money doesn't undo harm. And according to Nona, this settlement, Mary's settlement, her hard-won recognition, was taken from her by the man she was married to. Nona alleged that he moved the money into an account and left Mary with nothing. There are some reports that say he took 50,000, but everything from her family says
he took all of it.
He took it. And also, I tried to find how long they had been married. He hasn't been named in any sources. Couldn't find that in any of the reporting. He is on record sharing his side of it.
Yeah.
In 2025, but they don't name him. And I couldn't find when she won that settlement.
Okay.
Because I was interested if it was really close to when this happened.
Right.
Yeah. By November of 2020, Mary and her husband were estranged. At this point, she was 39 years old. She was trying to get to Oso, a small town about 30 miles from the reservation. She had family that she trusted there and people that she just wanted to spend the holiday with.
Yeah.
It felt like solid ground.
Right. Thanksgiving is stressful enough. Like, you want to be around people that are not stressful.
Well, and Thanksgiving 2020.
Right.
Even more
even
so.
horrible. Yeah.
Yeah. Fire Trail Road runs along the northern edge of the reservation. It's a quiet stretch of road. It's not a highway. It's just a road that people who live there know, and it connects one part of the reservation to another. You'd walk down this road without thinking twice, especially if you grew up in the area. And Mary, she knew that road. Now, on November 25th, the day before Thanksgiving, Mary was making plans. She had arranged for someone to give her a ride. She was going to be picked up near a church, not that far from where she was. And from there, she would get her ride to Oso. That was the plan. The kind of logistics people work out over text every single day.
Yeah. Now, did her family know who was supposed to come pick her up? Was it a family member that was also going to the same spot?
It doesn't seem like it was a sibling of hers or a parent, but someone she was related to.
Right. I would assume somebody also going to Oso for their Thanksgiving.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And I don't believe that they were going to the same place.
Yeah.
But they haven't explicitly said that. Now, investigators would later confirm that 3 separate people reported seeing Mary that day. All of them reported seeing her walking east on Fire Trail Road, headed towards the church. She was on her way. At 1:52, she sent her last text message. She said she was almost to the church. And that was the last anyone heard from her. She never arrived. The ride never connected. And whatever happened between that text and what came next.
So, do we know who was supposed to pick her up?
Investigators know who was picking her up. And from everything that I've gathered through reading about her story and her case, is that when they got there to the church where they were meeting, they're sending messages. Are you here? Are you almost here? She's not responding. I'm not sure if they had something they were expected at or if they just assumed she got another ride. But according to
Yeah, because I'm curious
investigators, they went on their way to that city.
So they went forward with their plans, but I'm just curious if they alerted somebody. I mean, I guess you just think,
Doesn't seem like
or
it.
I mean, did they text her back? Like, hey, I'm here, da 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 da.
That, yes.
Okay.
Like, we're here, we're waiting. But, as opposed to it being someone who's 16, I think they just thought she got her own ride. But the interesting thing is, I'm wondering if she was supposed to be there at 2 and she sent that last text. For that to have happened within just a small amount of time, she was almost there at 1:52.
Right. And they were meeting at 2, right?
I don't know exactly, but that's my guess. Or even 2:15, I'm not sure if she's just saying, hey, I'm almost here if you're here early. They did get phone records. They would later suggest something that made this disappearance even more unsettling. Investigators found indications that Mary may have been transported towards the Oso area, towards the destination she was trying to reach.
Oh.
Mm-hmm. But she never made it to her family there.
So it is possible that her intended ride did get her and then never brought her all the way to the place.
They've never announced those people as a suspect or person of interest or even named names.
Okay.
But my guess would be that's the first place they're looking.
Well, yeah.
Mm-hmm. There were no confirmed witnesses to anything happening to Mary. They couldn't find any sign of a struggle, just that text, she was almost there.
And that church didn't have cameras, did it?
Mm-mm.
Okay.
Now, we said she disappeared on November 25th, 2020. She was not reported missing until December 9th, 2020, which...
Okay, wait, say that again?
December 9th, so 14 days later.
Nobody was concerned?
So, I don't know. I'm trying to piece that together in my head of who thought she was where. Her estranged husband claims now that he had gone to Southern California for the holiday because his mom and his brother had just moved there. Her family, it doesn't seem like they thought he had already left. They thought he would know where she was.
Yeah.
He called the family.
Were they still living together even though they were estranged?
I can't really tell.
Okay.
He moves to South California pretty quickly after. He says his plan was to always move there because of his mom and his brother.
Got out of Dodge.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm. Her family definitely thinks that exact sentiment.
Yeah.
He called the family and asked them to report her missing. According to her sisters, he told family members that Mary had been gone for, quote, a couple weeks and that she didn't usually stay gone that long. Her sister said that they encouraged him to reach out to investigators, and she would later recall being told by investigators that Mary's husband said basically exactly that. And the framing of it, not my wife is missing, I'm nervous, I need help. It's just she's been gone longer than usual, very distant, removed from the situation.
Yeah.
After the report was filed, Mary's sisters say that her husband's behavior raised more questions. According to Jerry and Nona, they say he hired a lawyer. He changed his phone number. He says he had changed it a couple months earlier, but their version is that it was right after.
Even a few months is a little suspect.
He says he did it a few months before she disappeared. It was already changed when she went missing. But either way, why are we changing our number?
Right.
Do we do that anymore?
No, I mean,
we just block calls, right?
Well, that or you just move and keep. I know plenty of people that literally have their old, I see 202 area codes. I see 310 area code. I see plenty of people with their old area code.
Oh, yeah. Mine's from high school.
Yeah. So it's funny. I wished I still had my old number because I like it better, but I did change mine, but I did keep 602. So I'm like, no, I'm old school AZ, old school.
I like that. So he pushed back on the phone number part. And then they said, he left Washington State entirely, relocating to Southern California. He says that was his plan all along. He was planning to move there. Him and Mary were already on the outs. So you can see it, but also what about her money?
Right.
That part of it is like, that is not yours.
Right.
And
and I don't
get it.
No, I assume you still have to technically get divorced. So, and I don't know what Washington's laws are, but there's at least 50-50. Even if it was her money, I get that potentially she would have to give him half in the event of a divorce, but
yeah. That's why I really wanted to see.
All is a lot more than half, so.
Yep. Yeah. Another thing is that they say he didn't attend a single vigil held for her, and her sisters went out of their way to personally invite him.
Yeah.
Even as long later as the 2-year memorial event.
I get
the 2-year
marital estrangement, but come on.
Yeah. You still had a life with her.
Yeah. Like I would think be somewhat, at least give the illusion you're concerned. Right. And you care. Right. And you have empathy for the family. Mm-hmm. And if they had kids together, even more so.
Absolutely. Now, tribal police detective David Sally told People magazine in 2021 that the husband was considered a person of interest in Mary's disappearance. The FBI, however, has never publicly named him as a suspect. And as of the most recent reporting, no charges have ever been filed. And there's never been any charge in connection with what happened to Mary. The Tulalip tribal police chief, whose name is Chris Sutter, said publicly that investigators were treating the case as an abduction homicide, basically right away, not as a runaway or a voluntary disappearance.
I mean, that's interesting in of itself, also considering how often they are not quick to, or they write it off as, oh, she just decided to go away.
Exactly.
That's voluntary. She's just out partying.
Right. And that is very...
So did they have children together?
No.
Okay. Did she have any children?
Not that I could find.
Okay.
No. And when they talk about her, they talk about her with her nieces and nephews.
Okay. So she was the cool auntie.
She was. She was the coolest. If you've listened to the show, you already know. You know when a crime happens on Native American reservation, it's always the question of who's going to investigate this. And it is almost never clean. It is not one agency with one chain of command and one clear mandate. Like we've talked about, we've got competing jurisdictions that can make a missing persons case, which really requires speed and coordination and resources nearly impossible.
So it's interesting because the TV show Dark Winds has a new season out. So I started watching it last night. And it's about natives, the BIA in New Mexico. And it's interesting because the FBI shows up and I get it's a TV show and, but the relationship was obviously very contentious. FBI just shows up and is like sitting in the lieutenant's chair and then is like, can I just use, it didn't seem like anyone was using this. Can I have this as my office? So invites themselves into the highest ranking person's office and kind of just acts like you're here to do my bidding. And which granted, the show is very pro-native because it is using a lot of traditional, we learn when we watch it. Let me put it that way.
Gotcha.
And so I'm like, I wonder if that's a more accurate representation of, even though it's the whole, oh, they have to invite us in. Is it though? Because it doesn't appear that this FBI agent was invited.
Right. She
showed up and this is in the 70s.
Oh, wow.
So I don't know. It was just a very interesting dynamic, but I'm like, I thought they had to be invited. I thought, and like she's down from Flagstaff and this and that. And then, we found a body and I've sent it straight up to Flag to get So I don't know. It's interesting that here they're in New Mexico, but Flagstaff is their biggest place, which I was like, wouldn't you? I mean, there's an FBI office in Phoenix.
Albuquerque?
So Albuquerque, I would think would have one, especially, I don't think they explicitly say which reservation or which town, but it is interesting. Again, you're seeing some of that jurisdiction stuff, but it's not being portrayed as how they present to the public per se.
Right.
Which, granted, maybe that was just for television, but I thought it was interesting.
Yeah, I need to watch that.
It's really good.
Then we can chat about it.
Yeah.
When Mary disappeared from the reservation, so that puts her initial disappearance squarely within the territory of the Tulalip Tribal Police Department.
It's tribal police on Dark Winds, not BIA.
Yeah.
Which
and the
maybe
FBI coming
the same.
in.
Yeah, it is tribal police.
We haven't seen the BIA in quite a few of the recent cases that we've done.
Which maybe I wonder if tribal police is now maybe the BIA.
Yeah. Or if they're more.
I would think it'd be federal, but
I
don't know.
Kind of bureaucratic, not
or like
boots on
more
the
of a
ground.
council.
Yeah. The tribal police in Mary's case are the ones that opened the investigation. They were the first responders. However, if Mary was taken off the reservation and the phone records that they obtained suggested that she may have been transported, the investigation would shift to the Marysville Police Department, which is the closest municipal agency. And if the person crossed state lines, which was entirely plausible given that her estranged husband went to Southern California.
Yeah, shortly thereafter.
Right. That would extend the jurisdiction to the FBI.
Absolutely.
So now we have all of these different agencies, 3 separate chains of command. And, in a missing persons case, they don't even know which one it is. It's so different.
Yeah, you're trying to piece together evidence and it can flip back and forth, I'm sure, multiple times.
Exactly. And then who's in charge as each new piece comes up?
Right.
Right. So with Mary's case, we have 3 separate definitions of what this case even is and who owns it. And here's what that looks like in practice. It looks like Detective David Sally telling CNN in the early days of the investigation that there are, in his words, a lot of maybes. It looks like a family standing at a vigil, even 2 years later, asking where the search teams are, where they were, where the phone records are, where the answers are, and over again, hearing nothing back. Gabriel Galanda, who is an Indigenous rights attorney, attended the 2-year memorial for Mary. He stood up and made what he called a direct call to action to the Department of Justice, to the FBI, to every level of government involved. He demanded that they somehow learn to work across jurisdictional lines, work across state lines, whatever it is, put the family first. Do whatever you can to get this family the answers that they deserve. There is a specific kind of grief that comes with not knowing. It is different from loss. Loss has a shape to it, something awful and solid that you can eventually somehow learn to carry, but not knowing is formless. It's ambiguous. It shifts. It follows you into these ordinary moments like a holiday dinner, Thanksgiving, birthdays, a random Tuesday, and reminds you that the story isn't finished.
Oh, yeah. It's so much harder to have no answers versus having an answer.
Absolutely. There's always the...
Well, you're going to envision worst case scenarios, but now you have so many more worst case scenarios running through your head.
Absolutely. It was really difficult for Mary's family to move on, which seems obvious, but I feel like sometimes people think that as the years pass, it gets easier. And they have said it never got easier.
No.
Not one day. And that makes sense to me, but I still felt the need to.
Yeah, there's no answers. So
What would you do if your online store converted 36% more shoppers? You could take 36% more vacation.
Another pina colada? Yes, please.
Open a new retail location with 36% more square feet.
Fantastic.
Hire 36% more help.
You're hired and you're hired.
Shopify has the world's best converting checkout, up to 36% better than other e-commerce platforms. What you do with those extra sales is up to you. Switch to Shopify today at shopify.com/listen and get a $1 trial. Shopify.com/listen.
From the earliest days that Mary disappeared, her sisters became the engine in this investigation. They were the ones making phone calls. They were holding press conferences. They were the ones pushing law enforcement for updates. They showed up again and again to make sure that Mary did not become another name that faded into the headlines. They knew that that is what so often happens. It's the pattern. There might be some brief local coverage, maybe if you're lucky, a flurry of local coverage, a missing persons report, and then they watched as time after time, the world moves on to the next thing, and the family is left standing in this silence, still holding the posters, still saying her name into a room that has mostly stopped listening. And Jerry and Nona refused to let that happen. In December of 2022, her family and advocates gathered at the Daybreak Star Indian Cultural Center in Seattle for an event called What Happened to Mary Johnson Davis? 2 years is too long. More than 50 people packed the room. There were posters, banners, red t-shirts with Mary's face on them. There was a ceremony, there were speeches, and there was also an empty podium where legislators should have been standing. Organizer Roxanne White looked out across that room and asked out loud, "Are there any legislatures here? Is King 5 here? KIRO? What about KOMO?" She said, "We're in Seattle, and I am really disappointed." Despite having reached out to all of those different people and media,
no one showed up.
No one.
Wow.
Not a single elected official, no television cameras, no one. Nona stood at that microphone and drew a direct line between Mary's disappearance and the failure that had defined her family's entire life with the state of Washington. She said, quote, "We went through hell when the state abandoned us in the foster care system. Don't abandon us again. We want her phone records. We want these searches done." And then her younger sister said, quote, "She may not mean much to society. She's just a native, but she means the world to us. Every life should have the same value, but somehow in America, it doesn't." Frustrated by the pace of the investigation and determined to bring national attention to Mary's case, the sisters eventually connected with Deborah Parker, who was the former vice chairwoman of the Tulalip tribes, nationally recognized Indigenous rights advocate, and one of the driving forces behind the inclusion of tribal jurisdiction provisions in the Violence Against Women Act. Parker became an executive producer on a documentary about Mary's disappearance. She said simply and without hesitation, quote, "I know she's been stolen." The documentary was called Missing from Fire Trail Road. It was directed by French-American filmmaker Sabrina Van Tassel, and it premiered in 2024 at the Tribeca Film Festival in New York City. And now you can find it on Hulu, Tubi, and Hoopla. This documentary brought Mary's story to an audience, finally, that was far extended beyond just their reservation. And the film didn't just tell Mary's story, it used her case as a doorway to the larger, ongoing, systemic, deeply American crisis of missing and murdered Indigenous women. They spoke to dozens of Native women on camera about the violence they had either witnessed and or survived. Deborah Parker spoke in the documentary. Secretary of the Interior, Deb Haaland, spoke.
She's running for governor currently in New Mexico.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Yeah. Super good news.
Yeah. The documentary tried to thread something critical. that Mary was not just an isolated tragedy. She was one data point in a pattern that stretched across every reservation, every state, and every generation of Indigenous women in this country. They talked about some of the stats that we've mentioned before. 4 out of 5 Native women experience violence in their lifetime. 3 out of 5 are raped. On some reservations, Native women are murdered at a rate more than 10 times the national average. Now, the thing that I really want to hit on is that they documented in 2016, the National Crime Information Center logged 5,712 reports of missing American Indian and Alaska Native women and girls. The Federal Missing Persons Database, NamUs, and we have talked about some of the reasons for why this is, but they recorded 116 of those cases.
That's not even just a few numbers off. It's wild.
Not a typo, not a rounding error.
Yeah.
It is just an unconscionable gap.
That must have 15 points of information to even be entered has got to be stopped. Like, that is just ridiculous.
Yes, it is something.
And that's a perfect example right there.
Of why.
5,700 and change reports, but only 116 could make it into NamUs.
Right. And we know there's a lot of reasons. Some of those are how many data points you need. Some of it are not having
required.
Access.
Yeah, not access, not required.
But it is required in Washington.
Not enough, yes, and not enough staff to enter it.
Mm-hmm. Now, in 2022, while Mary was still missing, families still fighting, cases technically open, being investigated, the state of Washington did something that had never been done anywhere in the United States. Governor Jay Inslee signed House Bill 1725 into law on March 31st, 2022. And this created the first ever statewide alert system specifically for missing Indigenous people.
Is theirs called the Turquoise Alert too?
I believe so.
Okay.
And they were the first. In the whole country.
Okay.
And if you haven't heard of this, it works similar to Amber Alerts or Silver Alerts. It broadcasts information on highway reader boards, radio, social media, directly out to news outlets. And with this one, that is anytime an Indigenous person is reported missing. Now, Mary disappeared before that alert system existed. And her family has wondered, what if it had been in place on November 25th? If her face had gone out on highway signs, if local media had been flooded with her description, I mean, it's hard not to wonder if something might have been different.
Yeah.
By 2025, Mary had been missing for nearly 5 years. The documentary had aired, the alert system had been signed into law, the reward had grown to $60,000. So they had $10,000 from the FBI and $50,000 from the Tulalip tribe. Tips had come in, they had been followed up on, searches had been conducted, but no answers, no arrests, no explanation. Jerry told the documentary's producers that she still dreamed about her sister, that she didn't believe Mary was gone. And then June 13th, 2025 came. A team from the Snohomish County Sheriff's Office was moving through a remote stretch of the North Snohomish County. It's heavily forested, densely overgrown. It's the kind of terrain that is really hard to work through. The area itself is not accessible by road. To reach it, you either have to be on foot or you have to have some kind of off-road vehicle.
So was the sheriff's office just doing like a training at something or other, or why were they even up there?
It was community members' tip.
Oh.
So
that made them go up there and search?
Yes.
Okay. So that means somebody knew.
Right. But I think
or somebody,
what I'm coming back to is, was it somebody who was already out there that then put the tip in, or was it somebody who said, hey, you should go search here?
Right.
That is,
I think it's the latter.
Distinction I couldn't find.
I think it's the latter. I'm thinking that it's somebody, called in a tip line.
Mm-hmm.
They checked it out and it hit pay dirt, for lack of a better words.
Right. Exactly.
And yeah. So someone's talking, which is, again, good.
Good. As long as...
They need to build a case.
Exactly.
That's for sure.
Exactly. All the reporting says they were moving through this remote stretch of land. They found human skeletal remains. There was no immediate identification. They didn't find a wallet or an ID, anything that would tell them who these remains belonged to. This remote location is roughly 30 miles from that fire trail road, and it's 30 miles from the last confirmed location of Mary. They sent a sample to the University of North Texas Health Sciences Center, which is one of the leading forensic DNA laboratories in the country. The facility works specifically on unidentified remains and missing persons cases. The sample was processed, a DNA profile was built, and they ran that through CODIS. It matched. On October 31st, 2025, 5 years to the month after Mary walked east on Fire Trail Road, the FBI's Seattle field office and the Tulalip Police Department made it official. They confirmed the identification. The remains were Mary Ellen Johnson Davis. The police chief released a statement on behalf of the department. He said, quote, "With deep respect for the family and the Tulalip community, the police department is heartbroken to confirm that remains have been positively identified as Mary Ellen Johnson Davis, a member of the Tulalip tribes of Washington. This case remains an active and ongoing investigation, and the Tulalip Police Department will continue to work in partnership with the family and the FBI. Mary's family would like to extend their heartfelt thanks to the community for their assistance and compassion through the past 5 years of searching for Mary, which ultimately led to her being found." The FBI special agent in charge, who is W. Mike Harrington from the Seattle field office, added, quote, "Every victim leaves a space in that community which cannot be filled. We will never stop pursuing justice for victims, no matter how long it takes."
So how far is Fire Trail Road from the location she was found?
30 miles.
Okay.
So she had to be transported there.
Right.
And that's why I'm not sure if her phone showed going towards Oso and then back over.
Right.
I don't believe her phone was found with her.
Okay.
That isn't.
And they haven't acknowledged whether they've checked her phone records or not, right?
They did say that they have checked her phone records. Her family hasn't been able to see
them.
What they found.
Okay. And law enforcement has not released any. Okay.
No. The words, the 2 quotes that we just read, they're the right words. They're the words that should be said. And Mary's family deserved to hear them, but they wish that they had heard them years before in a different context. When the investigation was confirmed, Nona and Jerry released a statement together. After 5 years of fighting, press conferences, sleepless nights, they said, quote, "Our hearts are heavy, also because so many loving people are feeling sadness for our sister and our family. We are in disbelief that we will never see Mary again. We all wanted her to come home. She is now being brought back to us, but not like we hoped. It feels like we are in a dream, wanting to wake up and see her. At the same time, our family finally has closure. We are at peace and now can rest, knowing our sister has been found and will be brought home, where she is loved and will always be remembered. We are grateful for everyone's love, prayers, and condolences, and we ask for privacy at this time." At the time of this recording, Mary's case is classified as an active homicide investigation. Now, the cause and manner of her death remain either undetermined, pending further forensic examination, or that might just be publicly, but that's all that they've put out, is that both cause and manner remain undetermined.
At least it allows the case to remain open.
Yes, thank goodness. No suspects have been publicly named, no arrests have been made, and no charges have been filed in connection with her disappearance or death. Her estranged husband has not been named a suspect by the FBI, and he has spoken out, specifically most recently in November of 2025, after her remains were found, identified, and they released that information. He fought back, saying the things we mentioned. He had changed his phone number. He was already planning to move to Southern California. He also says he wasn't around when she went missing. And as of this recording, he remains uncharged and not even named a person of interest. The $60,000 reward that we mentioned remains active. It's available for information leading to the identification, arrest, and conviction of anyone responsible for what happened to Mary.
Has her family said anything about her dating anybody new?
Not that I could find.
Okay.
I wondered that too. How estranged?
Mhm.
Was it new? Was it recent?
Right.
Had they
Ongoing.
been right, moving apart? That adds a lot of context,
right?
I think. And same with when she was awarded that money.
I mean, it's not lost on me. The family is pretty much focused on him, which says a lot.
It does. And in 2020, hopefully they were looking at his geofence location, looking at his phone records, checking if he was either in Washington or in communication with people who were in the area. I don't know. I haven't found any other explanation for who they think it could have been.
Right. And it would be really helpful to know when her money from the state came in, like how long had it been?
Right.
Like if it's 5 years later, okay. But recent and you're already estranged, oh yeah, there's a motive.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, and it's not lost to me the family says he took it, but did he take it because she is now missing, presumed dead? But at the same time, why are you taking her money when you don't know where she is? Again, unless you know that she's never coming back. That's suspicious in itself.
I feel like the money was before because in one of the articles, her sister had said he had moved it to an account that she couldn't access.
Yeah.
It was an ongoing
dispute between
battle.
them. Sure.
Exactly. But yes, how long? Because devil's advocate side of that, if he already has the money, it's already
He
doesn't need to do.
But I'm wondering again in a court, like if you go to court and get formally divorced, granted, I don't know the laws in Washington, but here it's community property.
Right.
So everything acquired during the time of the marriage, unless you file for an actual separation date, you have to split down the middle. And so
her going missing, if there was
he gets all of it.
Exactly.
Or if granted, she went missing and was not found for 5 years. So in theory, he shouldn't be spending the money at all. It's technically not his.
Absolutely.
Or you could do the whole spousal privilege crap and you're entitled to half. But yeah, this is how he gets
motive.
Right. It's a huge motive.
Yeah. More than life insurance or for a lot of
even,
people.
I mean, because it's very telling that you took it all.
Right.
And she could, well, and that's the thing. If you're married, I don't know if you can say theft. They'd say marital.
Right.
And then you have to, I don't know, that's hard because you can't really say your spouse is stealing from you, even though it's very clear he did.
When you're still technically married.
Yeah, if you're still legally married, doesn't really matter if you're estranged or not. You're under the law. So, but the fact that he took it, put it in an account she no longer had access to, I don't even know, you can't go to the cops and say he stole money from me because you're actually married to the person.
Right.
So yeah, that's wild.
Also now curious, did she have divorce papers? Was she
ready?
Working on that?
Yeah. That would be another motive.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because I'm sorry, $400K that's good starter money to relocate to Southern California and start afresh.
Agreed. It's not nothing.
And that's a lot better than $200K.
Oh, right.
Which would be your
she
half.
Probably would have fought. Who knows what would have happened? Like you said, if it's community. But,
oh yeah, I would think if you were formally going to get divorced, you would have to show that, hey, at least half this money needs to come back to me.
Yeah, right.
And I do think Washington, it may not be as explicit as community property, but I do believe they have a 50-50 split like California and Arizona.
Yeah, I would think so. Mary's disappearance, like we said, helped bring Washington's first statewide alert system, the first in the entire nation, and it exists in part because of what happened to her. Because Deborah Parker picked up the phone, because her sisters kept showing up for her, and that law can't bring Mary back. It can't undo those 14 days that passed before anyone filed a report. It can't undo anything that's had this case sit unsolved for 5.5 years now. But it exists now. It is active. And somewhere for someone, it may make the difference that it couldn't make for Mary.
Right. This is her legacy now.
Exactly. And that is the complicated math of advocacy. Sometimes the thing you fight the hardest for comes just a little too late for the person who inspired that fight. As of this recording, like we said, no one's been arrested, the case is still active, and the $60,000 reward remains on the table. If you
That's
know
a high reward, but I realize 50 of it is from the tribe
Tribe.
itself. So that is why. Certainly not the FBI.
No, even though
they're pulling up 10K, which is actually high for them as well. But
right, we have seen plenty that don't have any.
Right.
So if you know something, anything about what happened to Mary on November 25th, 2020, or what happened in the days and the weeks that followed, please call. You can call the FBI Seattle field office. It's 206-622-0460 or online at tips.fbi.gov. And we will link those in our show notes as well as the contact for the tribal police. Because someone somewhere has to know something.
Right. That's it for today's episode of Vanished Voices. Thank you for listening and helping us shine a light on stories that deserve to be heard. To dive deeper into the sources and research we used, or to learn more about this story, visit our blog on our website at vanishedvoicespodcast.com. Let's stay connected. Find us on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube at @vanishedvoicespod. If you found this episode meaningful, please consider leaving a review or sharing it with a friend. Your support helps keep these stories in the public eye and honors those who can no longer speak for themselves. You can find Vanished Voices on Apple, Spotify, Amazon, YouTube, or anywhere you listen to podcasts. And as always, refuse to let these voices vanish.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye.